One of the Minnesota Zoo's goal is to raise awareness for all animals all across the world. And we raise awareness for the wolves in Minnesota by having wolves on exhibit and teaching the public about wolves. Well, the educational opportunities that we provide here are really just having the wolves available for people to see. That's a really helpful thing for people to be able to see an animal up close and personal. It really brings them a closer connection to those animals. We've got lots of information on our zoo graphics about wolves in the wild, and we also do some programs, well, like this, doing interviews with you so that we can educate the public about wolves in ways like this as well. There's not a whole lot of threats to wolves in Minnesota right now. Mostly pressure from farmers, but for the most part, wolves are pretty stable population here in Minnesota right now. I think wolves are viewed pretty positively in today's society. Most people like wolves. They're a pretty charismatic animal and people like to see them. So I think that the view of the population here in Minnesota is generally positive. Some of the things that we can do to increase the wolf population, we don't really need to do that right now in Minnesota. We've got a very stable population and we don't necessarily want them to get out of hand. Right now, wolves in Minnesota take care of a lot of deer and elk, so they're good hunters and they keep that population down. But we have enough wolves right now that we really don't need to increase the population. The future for wolves here in Minnesota looks pretty good. The population is stable. We've got about 2,400 wolves in Minnesota, and that's a very good number. So our population is pretty stable. The current recovery plans that we have for wolves are definitely working. We know that because they've been taken off the endangered species list here in Minnesota. The impact of humans on wolves it's pretty much pressure from, say, farmers. Wolves can attack farms like cows and things like that and predate on those animals, and that's a pretty natural behavior for them to do, but it does definitely impact the farmers that live in that area.
Wolves are a top-level predator here in Wisconsin. So they play an important role out there. They are what a lot of people consider to be a wilderness animal, and their presence on the landscape means that ecosystem is fully intact. We have all levels from prey species all the way up to the top level predator. And wolves impact their ecosystem in a lot of different ways. They take out weak and sick animals out of the population here in Wisconsin. They feed primarily on deer. They feed on beaver somewhat also, we know from our food studies we've done in the past. So they'll weed out some of the animals, the small ones, the younger ones, the weaker ones, any sick animals out there. Those are the first animals that are taken down by wolves. So they impact things that way. They interact with humans also, and by taking cattle in some cases, so there's some problems with depredation on cattle. They'll kill dogs on occasion, and we have those problems also out there, human-related problems. So human-related mortality is the biggest mortality factor on wolves that we have. Wolves being hit by cars, there's illegal harvest that goes on because they depredate on cattle and cause other problems, human health and safety issues at some point in time. We do control work on wolves now that's legal to do in the state of Wisconsin, where we have people come in and trap and euthanize wolves if they're causing depredation issues. And then we have a harvest now. Last year we had a quota of 251 wolves that were taken through legal harvest. This year that quota is 150 animals, and we expect to have that quota filled. I think we've got a healthy population of animals right now in the state of Wisconsin. With the harvest of wolves we have right now, we're doing all we can to eliminate problems with human-related issues with wolves and human-related problems with wolves. So we can take care of depredation issues, human health and safety issues. We can respond to those now and take animals out of the population that are causing problems. The harvest right now, we've shown over the last 2 years, and this we're going into our third year of harvest, that we can control the harvest, so we can shut the harvest down if we need to. And that's an important thing to do if we're going to be able to manage wolves, is to be able to control that harvest animals on the landscape. We've got a wide spectrum of people when they look at wolves. There's people that absolutely hate them and would like to see everyone eliminated from the landscape, and there's people who just love them and don't want to see any killed at all for any reason. So you've got those two diverse views, and I think most of the people in the middle see wolves as a very important member of the ecosystem out there. As you talked about earlier, they're a keystone predator species. They're a sign of wilderness for a lot of people, and they're an important animal to have out on the landscape. Just from that fact, we don't have a lot of large predators out here that are effective predators on the landscape anymore. It used to be we had a lot more of those animals out here. We don't see them now in Wisconsin. We're one of the few states in the whole U.S. that has effective predators out there on the landscape in the form of wolves. We just recently ran a public survey on wolves, and the majority of people in the state feel threatened by wolves, that they have fears about wolves for their own health and safety. In the state of Wisconsin, we've not had problems with that. Wolves directly attacking human beings, but we've had wolves threaten people. We've had wolves attack people's dogs when they're out with walks for them, and those are threatening situations. We have not, luckily, had any attacks on human beings in the state of Wisconsin. You're much more likely to be in a car accident and injured or killed in a car accident, or be struck by lightning probably than injured by a wolf in the state of Wisconsin. Like I said, we've not had any wolf injuries in the state of Wisconsin. We've had attacks by black bears. You're much more likely to be injured by domestic dogs in the state of Wisconsin than you are to be injured by wolves. Not to say it cannot happen, and it probably will happen at some point in time. But right now, people's fears are much higher than what the facts show. Perception out there is that wolves are very dangerous, and they can be. But the reality is that we don't see a lot of injury caused from wolves or death caused from wolves. They play an important ecological role by taking out diseased animals, sick animals, and just helping play that role of a major predator on the landscape out there. That's their big ecological role. And for us as people, we know a lot of people really enjoy that, to go in an area and be able to hear wolves howl, to see tracks, to see sign that those animals are out there, and then on occasion actually see the animals. And that's a real rare thing for most people, but for a lot of people, they really enjoy that chance to see those animals out there.